everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. It is Friday, August 29, 2025. I had to come here and speak about this topic because I feel like this is something that I can totally relate to. Being a fashion company, let's just say J.Crew, right? That fashion company has been under fire right now because they use AI for their recent promo campaign. Before I continue, I want to say thank you, of course, to everybody who has been following me on Spotify. Don't forget to continue to follow the podcast on Spotify, and also everybody who has been following me on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much, guys, for doing that. Really appreciate it. It helps me as a creator, and I know a lot of people when I share the GoFundMe campaigns, after I learn about stories of people who are in need, I do appreciate you guys going there and even sharing the link and even donating yourself. So I really appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for doing that. You guys know that I am a fashion designer. I haven't done a lot of podcasts lately because, as maybe you don't know, but New Year Fashion Week begins in a couple weeks. So I'm working very hard to create my new collection for spring 2026. So it's getting there. I just realized how much work I still have left. But when I hear a story like this, right, and like I said, J.Crew is being called out basically for using AI models in the most recent campaign. What I was saying earlier is that I can totally speak about this because as I do fashion, I do work in the fashion industry, even though I do other stuff too during the day. I can see how AI can be a great tool to use in the fashion industry, obviously, even specifically when it comes to promoting items. I had used AI on my social media to create photos of models in New York City wearing my collection, right? And after you prompt ChatGPT to create these images, you kind of go back and you look at it and make sure everything looks good, and you can say, can you fix that? I found myself telling that ChatGPT make the model smile, right, or make them more modest, right, and things like this. So I find that tool to be very helpful, right? I'm very surprised though when it comes to this call out for the people are doing for J.Crew. I find it very surprisingly though, because markups and things like this are very common in a fashion industry, right? And even like a company that caters to a lot of small business like Etsy, markups are available. If you have like jewelry, like I sell jewelry, and you want to list it on Etsy, they give you the option to use a markup, meaning they'll take your plain photo of your jewelry, right, and they use a markup background to make a nice photo of your jewelry, right, and they can make it look like a real photo shoot. And this has been going on for years. I'm so surprised that they're calling out J.Crew for this, because this is just like I said, it's something that has been going on for years, and people are like, why are they using AI? Are you serious? Everything has been done before, right? All of this has been done. Just because it has come to your awareness lately, maybe perhaps you think there's an issue with it, but even like looking at advertisement as it is, even the way a supermarket is laid out is so the plan, is so manipulated for the consumer, right? Even how the weather affects what people are buying and what products they're trying to push. If they say in the next 10 days it's gonna rain a lot, what did you see when you enter a store? A lot of umbrellas, right? They put it near the register, right? A lot of these companies that have those end caps at the registers, they push items like that they think people are looking for, right? They look at trends that people are searching online for. Everything is manipulated. So I'm very surprised that they're calling out J.Crew for using AI models. Like, it has been going on, and this is what's coming, right? It's just more open now, I guess. If you look at how those self checkouts, that was like, if you look back maybe 10 years ago, that was like one thing that you started seeing them pop up, and you're like, oh, what are they doing? I need to speak to a person here. I have a question about this price. And now they're everywhere, and people, we love it, right? We just go in and check out ourselves and leave, right? And it's like, it's so much easier. You don't have to wait in line for anybody. You don't have to worry about somebody being too slow if you have to get back to work fast enough. But you know, when it comes out and you're like, oh, now that you see it everywhere, now the self-checkouts is not a big issue. But I guess not a lot of people realize that when it comes to advertisement, AI has been going on for a while. So let me read to you briefly what it is that they're saying. That they're saying J.Crew is under fire because of this, right? The popular retailer J.Crew is facing criticism for what some are speculating are AI generated images promoting their brand. Are you kidding me? When I read this, I was like, this has been going on for years. Okay, looking at it as an insider, I guess, I have seen people do the work of a catalog, let's just say, on the computer, and they basically take a model wearing a white t-shirt, and they click a tab, right, and then they take photos of all the merchandise, and they, the model will post different poses, right, and they make sure they have a program that they will click in the next tab, right, and then they do a different color and then the other color, and then it's just one model posing for like 10 different shirts. And this has been going on for years. Yes, maybe then it was a real model, but now because AI has been so advanced, right, now they're like, okay, we don't really, if we can just prompt a AI program to do this for us, right, a company will always try to eliminate cost. And this is just another way how technology is taking over. And it's a common for fashion industry professionals like models and photographers. Maybe this is an eye-opener, but I'm very surprised that people have not seen this coming, right? Look at the self-checkouts, guys. I mean, how hard is it these days to find a cashier? I mean, even if you see a cashier, they still point to you to the self-checkout, and you're like, okay, like, why are you here? Like, they're standing around the self-checkout pointing to you, okay, you can go use number 5 now. And you're like, are you serious? Why are you not ringing the register anymore? We have come accustomed to that, and now it's just all over the place that people don't even complain anymore, right? So they're saying that J.Crew use AI generated images, right? Some recent photos look like J.Crew's ads of the past, but they might not be real. Okay, the website, I'm not familiar with this website, but this is the website that called out the whole thing. It's called Blackbird Spyline, pointed out glitches in the clothing and photos distortion. In a statement released to the cut, J.Crew said it's exploring new forms of creative expression and experimenting with different art mediums. Critics are concerned that AI models are cutting out workers who would otherwise get paid. Yeah, that's, as much as we like technology, this is what's coming. Unfortunately, if you don't restrain it, this is what's like I said, AI can be very good and also can be very terrifying, because it can be so useful to the point that you can be like, I don't really need you anymore. I don't really need you. I mean, that's why we have to be so careful. What surprises me about this is that people are calling out this company for doing this, but this has been going on for years. When it comes to advertisement, do your research. I work as a visual merchandising for many years in different companies, and if you know that how everything is just so well thought out, manipulated when it comes to sell volumes, right? I used to work for this company. I'm not gonna say obviously the name, but they would say, look at me as a visual merchandiser and be like, we're looking at the numbers of this recent collection. It's not selling as expected. Can you do something with it and make it, make sure it's at the front, at the entrance of the store? And me as a visual merchandising, which is basically The job of a visual merchandiser includes dressing mannequins, making beautiful, enticing displays, right, for a store, and making sure that everything looks nice and organized, right, among other many things, right? But that's just like a brief summary of what a visual merchandiser does. So when it comes to the sale volumes, right, and let me tell you, if you work retails, you know, the importance is the customer feedback, and the second thing is the sales volume, right? So when you get this amount of merchandise that's not moving whatsoever, when you have a visual merchandiser, that is your responsibility basically, to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to give this collection the best effort when it comes to the positioning of the sale floor, right? So I will come in and I will even get different displays and make sure I use the main entrance, right, and make sure I do like dress up mannequins nicely. And I usually will pick the dress that we have the most sizes in. Obviously it's not the dress that's moving, right? So if I have a whole size round of this particular dress, that's the dress I'm gonna put in the mannequin because I want it to move, right? And like I said in my previous video, is that when it comes to things being displayed in a mannequin, it's a sellout. It's a sellout immediately, because unless it's super bad, right? Unless it has a bad statement, a name on it, or it's like a really bad design. Because we as humans, we like to see things on people on display as a mannequin, because we can immediately identify and be like, oh, that looks really good, I want it, right? So that's just something. But I feel like looking at this, what's happening with the J.Crew and the call out about, oh, don't use AI, they're saying they're gonna explore everything that they can, different medias, to promote their products. This has been going on, like I said, for many years. I mean, like I said, merchandising in the store, right? And even the music that they play in the store is all manipulated to go with the brand, guys. It's so catered to that. I remember years ago, I mean, I think I applied for this company that is catered to teenagers, right? And as I'm doing my interview, you know, you get to ask a lot of questions, and I always like to learn things, right? Especially when it comes to branding. I'm always so brand oriented, right? So I remember asking, how come you guys, what is the smell here? There's a smell in this store. And they're like, oh, this is the perfume. They told me this is the perfume that we spray in the store, right? Because we sell it, right? So they once you come in, you're like, I want it. Like, if you like it, you're like, I want to buy it, right? I want to smell like this brand, right? And then the other thing was, I would always I remember asking them, how come it's so dark in here? And they're like, and I said, I said one time, is the music always gonna be this loud? And they're like, yeah, they're so specifically done because this is what they told me, guys. Okay, I'm not gonna say the name of the company, but they say, this is the idea why the music is so loud, why the store, it looks like it's always dark in here, right? They want the teenagers to, if they're shopping with their family, with their dad, with their parents, right, they want their parents to be like, I'm not going in there, here's my credit card, it's too dark in there, it's too loud, and I don't like the smell, here's my credit card, I'll wait for you outside. And that's why you will see sometimes a lot of these benches outside, right? Specifically placed, right? Everything is always coordinated, manipulated, I guess you can say, to go with the whole idea of the branding, right? And, you know, if they cater for teenagers, they just want that type of consumer in the store, right? And this is what they told me, right? And that's how you start learning things about how they operate. So using AI for advertisement is nothing like, I guess you can say, it's nothing like, oh my goodness, let's call out, you know, the fashion industry and let's make a big deal out of it. Years ago, if you don't remember, years ago there was a big they did a lot of call outs. I guess some of the models came back saying, you know, I did a photo shoot for this magazine, and when I look at my photo, They Photoshop is so bad that it doesn't even look like me. They took like 20 pounds off my body, right, to make me look skinnier. They fixed my hair looks longer, right? All this editing that goes, if after they do the photo shoot, a lot of these companies do a lot of editing to make it look commercial, right? To make it look whatever they want, right? So I remember years ago, a lot of models, famous people, very well-known actresses too, that came out and called out this fashion industry saying, why are you using Photoshop so much on my photos? And they were saying, that is not my arm. They were saying things like, that is not my neck. And everything was being manipulated to make it look like what they expected the consumer to like, right? So this has been going on for so long. It's been going on for years. I mean, I don't even think like how long back. Let me see what else this says here in this. And now they're saying, well, the whole thing about these AI images is that they're saying, well, you're taking jobs away from models. It's coming for this industry, obviously, the fashion industry. But if you look at cashiers that you no longer see in stores anymore, right? Sometimes we make lines for self-checkouts, like I was saying earlier. Imagine that, for self-checkouts. Like I said, sometimes you see a worker and they're pointing to you, like I said, to go to the self-checkout. This is just another thing that's going to take out jobs, right, from the industry. And if they're going to save, advertising is so expensive. If they can save so much money by prompting a ChatGPT or whatever program they're using to say, can you create an image of a model in New York City? Like this is what I say to ChatGPT. If you look at my Instagram, you can see what I'm referring to. I remember I'm like, I really want to do a photo shoot in New York City, but me being a small business owner and being like a small creator and all of that, it's not that it's impossible, obviously, but I was like, let me just try and see what comes out of it, right? With the sweaters that I have for sale on my Teespring store, right? I'm not doing a shadow, nothing like that. But I was like, this is so cool. It took me like, 3 seconds to tell ChatGPT, create an image of a model wearing this sweater outside of Grand Central in New York City during a summer day. And I had that image within like, a minute? Do you know what it takes to do a photo shoot? I'm not saying I'm like, okay, eliminate all the models and photographers. I'm not saying that, because to be honest, some of the images that came out, they were not all good. The body proportions were off, right? And some of them I was like, oh, that looks a little scary. I was like, I don't want to use this image. I was like, I'm not using that, right? And I don't think I will, right now, after I did that, just trying it out, I was like, I don't think I want to use that anymore. Because you kind of feel this kind of guilt, like, okay, I am taking away from models. I can just do the photo shoot, right, with real models and photographers, right? But accessibility, people can look at this and be like, man, I just saved so much money by just doing this and have a whole photo shoot. And I guess the thing is, like, I'm surprised that people are complaining, calling this company out for something that has been done for so many years. Just because it's happening to this industry now, and they're saying, wait a second, we might lose photographers and models and makeup, hair and makeup too. And, editing, graphic designers and all of that. But everything, when it comes to advertisement, when it comes to fashion, everything has been everything's so calculated, guys. Years ago, I also worked for another fashion trendy company, very big fashion trendy company back then. And they will tell me, as a visual merchandising, they will say to me, make sure your floor set, right? When we change everything over, they will say half the store will have to look like the Dolce & Gabbana recent collection. My job as a visual merchandiser was to create half of the store like that. So I will start pulling fabric, I mean not fabric, right, just merchandise. Obviously I will know my brands very well, so I will know what Dolce & Gabbana were doing for that season, and I will be like, okay, these are the key items. So I was, back then I was so into fashion shows, meaning looking at what was trending, looking at what was the next trend and all of that. So because I knew that was my job, so I will make sure that the front of the store looked like, that collection from Dolce & Gabbana, even though we didn't sell Dolce & Gabbana, right? But that was the whole idea. And if I had to, if the theme for them was, like sea and like cruise lines and things like that, I would have to get, palm trees to put as a display and make all the models where, I would put necklaces and the sunglasses, and not the models, the mannequins, right? So things like that to make it look all cohesive, to make it look like enticing like that, and to make it look obviously like the collection, right? So all of this is so calculated, guys. It's like going to a supermarket and getting a sample from the people giving you samples there, because they want you to, just like you see something on the mannequins, they want you to try it before you buy it. And it's so calculated because at the end of the day, they just want to sell. They just want to bring those numbers up, right? Like I said, if they see a collection that's not really getting any tracked, they will speak with this visual merchandisers and be like, can you do something with this, right? And sometimes we don't even see it as a consumer, I guess. Some people don't realize it, but it's all calculated. Even the layout, like I said, of the supermarket, everything is calculated, right? Everything is laid out perfectly. Even the way they lay out in the cereal aisle, they, I heard this years ago, how they lay out like the cereals for the kids at the lower shelf, because if the kids are shopping with their parents, they're usually, toddlers, if they're walking, they'll see it will be eye level with the babies, right, with the kids, right? So they're like, Mommy, I want this one, right? Because they can see it. All of that stuff is like that. And this is just another example, right? Is it gonna take some people's jobs away? Yeah, but that's depends, I guess, in every company decision to see how much are they willing to do that, right? I mean, look at AI, the way when it comes to pattern making, right? Even years ago when I used to try to get jobs in New York City as a fashion designer, there was the main question was, how are you creating patterns on the computer? They don't care anymore if you're good sketching, right? Maybe back then, maybe you came back and forth a little bit, but they want you to be able to use this computer program to create the patterns, right? Nothing is handmade, right? They want you to just use the computer to do all of that. And that was years ago. Imagine now that probably you just give a prompt and can you create a pattern for this sketch that I created? And it will probably create a pattern for you, and you can just print it out and cut the fabric and do it, right? It's just, as we see technology advancing, a lot of these things are gonna come to flow, but it's almost like we kind of knew that it was coming, and now that it's here, we're like, wait a second, this is actually eliminating a lot of people's job, right? In the long run, maybe not just yet, because like I said, some of the photos that I did with ChatGPT came out like, I'm never using that again for that, right? The body proportions are off completely, right? So maybe not yet, but this is kind of like an alert, right? So let me know, guys, what you think about all of this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening in the podcast. Have a good day, everybody. God bless. Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day everybody. God bless.